Welcome back to the channel, everybody, to another Fortnite tips and tricks video. This one's all about Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 3 and the car meta, how to win while using cars, and how to win when you're not using a car. So let's just get right into her. So you can still do the tricks of the old by driving a car up and then jumping out a bit and using it as cover to deke out your opponent. You can also just hide in the car and wait for your opponents to come on running past you, then jump out and surprise attack them. And now the pickaxe trick or exploit, where you basically have your pickaxe swing and jump in a car, then you can pickaxe the driver. That still works, but only if the car does not have a turret. And naturally, of course, you can still hop out the passenger side windows and shoot at other players' vehicles or shoot at other people while you're driving by. But previously, you were able to blow out the back windows and kill players this way, but not anymore in Chapter 5 Season 3, because now they have added armor plating to the back windows of both the G-Wagons and the regular cars. So you can no longer do this. Now, the other tricks that do still work really well is when you jump into an opponent's car. This actually works a little bit better now than it did previously, in my opinion, because a lot of people are married to their cars. So when you use the turret, you can jump in, then jump out, and blast them through the side window. Or as I used to call it, the Prospering Special. So how do you modify your cars this season? Well, there's these boxes around the map. So the green ones will give you wheel modifications. There are two, off-road tires and bulletproof tires. The red boxes will give you weapon modifications. There's machine gun turret and a grenade launcher turret. And the blue boxes will give you a front bumper modification. There's a spiked bumper and the cow catcher bumper attachment. Now, one other way that you can get a modded car is if you go and accept the shadow briefings that spawn a random car through a rift. These cars will always come with one or two modifications already on them, so that is good to know. Now, the last and final way you can get a car with mods on it is by going to one of the 3 boss locations, defeating the boss, getting the medallion, and then unlocking their garage and stealing their car. These cars come fully decked out, they have infinite fuel, infinite nitro, which means that your guns and the turrets will shoot faster on them, and they have a little bit of extra health. And as a plus to this as well, if you drive over any of those box modifications, you cannot replace the mods on this car, so you don't have to worry about running over one accidentally. So now here's an example of me using the Machinist Combat AR outside of a car without nitro, and now here's one with me popping out the window. You can just see how faster the fire rate is. Now, they have nerfed this a little bit, but it's still quite the advantage. So next, we're going to take a look at all the different modifications in order to help you better pick the one that suits your playstyle best. So right here, you can see a machine gun turret firing from the top of the car. Now you have to be in the passenger seat in order to fire the turret. You can also still access your inventory if you press the right button, which you'll see on the screen. Now, these things do a lot of damage. They were also nerfed, so they are now a little bit less accurate. And after you shoot for so long, the turret ends up overheating a little bit before you can fire it again. And these things can do a lot of damage and really shred an enemy player up very quickly. The other option is a grenade launcher. Now, this one, the ammo refills over time and it has to bounce first before it explodes. Now, it has 210 damage to enemy vehicles and can do still quite a bit of structure damage, even though this was also nerfed. And you'll do 70 damage to enemy players if you manage to hit them with it. Also, be sure not to leave your car with a grenade turret outside of a bunker while you are adding modifications to your weapons. Next, I want to talk about the cow catcher attachment. There's a front bumper attachment, and basically this can make it so you can just destroy anything very easily when you run into it. It's really useful for destroying small buildings quickly, and then just grabbing all the loot. Also, a weird fact is if you drive backwards with one of these on the front of your car, you can still have the same effect and destroy things easily. And then the spike bumper. Now this thing, the faster you're going, the faster you hit somebody, the more damage you are going to do. And this thing is just deadly. It can even do a lot of damage to vehicles if you ram into them with it equipped. And now here you see the off-road tires. Now these are really easy to be shot out, but they will elevate the car a bit. So if someone jumps in your car and tries to jump out and shoot you through the window, it's a little bit more difficult to do. And now you've also seen me using the bulletproof tires many a times, and that should be self-explanatory. Your tires just can't be popped. Now, the cow catcher, interesting thing is it has its own health bar of 800 HP, so if you shoot the cow catchers on the front of a car, you won't actually damage the car. But the spike bumper, if you shoot it, you will still damage the car. So that's just an interesting little thing I don't think a lot of people know, but so do keep that in mind. Now, next we're going to talk about how to heal your car or repair it. So, at all the gas stations around the map, there are these healing pads where you have to sit on them for a bit and they will restore your car to HP over time. So now, if you really hate cars this season, just go around and blow up the gas station beside them, and then nobody will be able to use this as an option to heal their vehicle anymore. Do be careful when using one of these though, because you're a sitting duck and it can easily be shot out while you're on the pad, and they're also very easy to run into. Now the slurp cactuses, also if you run over to them, not only will they heal you some HP and shield, but your car will get repaired by 100 HP. And now the most OP thing is these white crates, the reds on them. These things can't be destroyed and will heal any car up to full HP instantly and respawn. Also, you can get repair torches in order to repair your vehicle. You can do this by hopping out the passenger window or on foot while you're right beside it. There's also NPCs that sell these items. And now you can also get the Nitro effect by picking up the Nitro splash and throwing it at the car or using it while you're inside of it. And this will make your car act sort of like the boss cars do. Now another cool trick is with the shield bubbles, or the shield bubble juniors. If you throw one of these on your car, it's going to protect it from being shot by enemy players. This is useful in duos or trios, because you can throw one of these on the car and then pop out and be healing your car while you are driving away and getting shot at so the enemies can't blow you up. But now just be careful, because your turret will no longer work and you won't be able to shoot your guns out of this either. But here's one interesting thing, that the grenade turret, you can shoot that right through the turret and hit enemy players. So in squads, if you had people in the back seat with a bunch of repair torches and shield bubbles, you can almost make your car pretty damn invincible. This is a really broken strategy. So next we're going to talk about regular weapons you can fire out the windows of the car while you're a passenger, or you can use the counter cars. Now the boom bolt's one of the best ones you can use, but be careful, because someone uses a shield bubble on the car and you try to shoot it out, you'll probably damage the car. Also, if you lean over the car and try to shoot across it, sometimes you can hit the turret on top and damage it yourself instead of hitting who you're shooting at. Now, this weapon was also buffed recently. It used to do 222 damage to cars, but ever since the buff, now it does 317 damage to cars. Also, a really broken strategy is to double pump. So you just basically swap between the two boom bolts, and now if you get the medallion from the Nitro, you'll also have infinite ammo. So it's really crazy, the easiest way to destroy a car. The only bad side of it is that it seems to only do 4 damage to the players inside when it explodes. Now another new weapon that was added recently is the tri-beam laser rifle. Now this thing overheats really quickly, but within the 6 shots, you can deal about 600 damage to a car. Now even your regular weapon, like here is a blue enforcer, and this thing has dealt 975 damage to a vehicle. Near the beginning of the video I used a blue tactical AR, and it did 630 damage on a full clip, and now blue warforged only did 945. So definitely don't be using things like shotguns, because you don't want to be close to a car like this trying to blow it up, and it's just not going to be very effective. And also the DMR, things with slow fire rates, are just not what you want to be using to counter vehicles this season. Now one item that is a must in your inventory every game, it should be one of your main goals to get this, is the Nitro Fists. Because you can hit your one button to do an uppercut, to launch yourself up in the air, and then you can jump and use the dashes to get away. It'll save your life many times. Also that uppercut, you can give the cars the Shoryuken and get them the hell away from you. Also, if a car starts running away from you, you can also use it to jump into the vehicle, as you see in this example here. So they are a must carry and can save your life many times. So when you're fighting cars, you don't want to do this and be out in the open. As you see here, they fried my health really fast with that turret, and the only reason I was able to escape was because I had Nitro Fists. I was able to get to another car and just get out of there as quickly as possible. One of the other greatest counters to cars in the game right now, as controversial as this item may be, whether you love it or hate it, would be the boogie bombs. Especially if you don't have Nitro Fists, this might be your only option. Now, I'm sure you know what boogie bombs do, but in case you don't, when you throw them at an enemy player, they are forced to start dancing until you deal enough damage to them, or for a set amount of time. Now, if you throw them at a car, even in duos, trios, or squads, you can make the entire team have to get out and start dancing. And now, once you take out one player's dancing, your team is going to have the clear numbers advantage, and you're also going to be able to get early damage on the other players as well. Now, another really cool trick you can do with these is if you do see the boss out on patrol in their car, all you do is throw a boogie bomb at the car, and boom, the boss and her minion will have to get out and start dancing as well. If you're in duos or trios, squads, your teammate can just steal the car instantly and either drive off with it or just turn the car's weapons on the boss and defeat them for their medallion and weapon. And now we're going to get into more tips about fighting against cars when you're not in one. So now one of the easiest things that you can do is just to be somewhere where the cars can't go. So I'm on top of this building here in the desert, and I don't even have the greatest weapon for this. It's a pistol with no sight, and I'm able to blow up that car and they can't even hit me. So that's probably your biggest defense against vehicles, just being where they cannot get you or where they're going to have a hard time shooting you, especially because the turrets only can look up so high. And this is also where those Nitro fists come back into play, since you can use these in order to get up to hard to reach places, or you can even use them just to bounce back and forth between cliff faces and other things to make the car have to keep driving around. And now, with the new attachments on vehicles also tend to be very easy to get stuck on stuff this season. So if your car gets stuck, you'll have to hit it with another car, use a shockwave on it, or uppercut it with the Nitro fist so it gets unstuck. Now you can also make enemy players chase you into areas of the car where it's more likely to get stuck, such as the underworld, for example. Also, always be sure to carry lots of heals. Heals are now sold at vending machines again, cheaper than ever. They're now only 50 gold for a big pot. In Season 1 it was 125. If you're going to be on foot, you're definitely going to need healing items this season. And next I want to talk about if you should be hiring NPCs this season or not. So if you're going to be using cars as your main mode of combat, the answer is most definitely no. Because this NPC here barely even shot a grenade. He doesn't shoot the gun turret here until it's way too late and we're already boogie bombed out of the car. Sometimes if you're playing trios or squads, the NPC can take the gunner seat and then you have to keep jumping out and making sure that the right player gets its burst so the NPC doesn't take the seat. NPC also hops out the window to shoot. It can sometimes block your shots while you're trying to shoot at people. It's just not good, unless you're only using cars for transportation. Now in solos, when a person jumps into the gunner seat, they are completely stationary, as you can see there. There's nothing they can do, so you're going to know exactly where they are, so if you can get a good beam on them, you can take them out very easily, like this player did to me here. So remember how the cars have armor back windows? You always want to shoot with your back of the car facing the enemy whenever possible this season, so you can't get shot out through the windows. Now here in this example, you're going to see I'm shooting a car here, and this one has a grenade turret using it against me. Now the grenades are a little bit harder to hit people with if the player's not good with them, so you can always just keep moving your car back and forth. But this is probably the most broken strategy, and this is how you basically win when using a car every season. So as you see, I won that fight. That person's now fleeing, but my car's health is completely fried. Learn where those white boxes with the red chart on them are, and literally every time you get into a fight, when you're done the fight, drive over to the box and hit it again, and just keep rinsing and repeating. That's literally the easiest way now to win a game this season, and it's kind of really redundant and really stupid in my opinion, but it works. For every fight, just go back to the box. Now, we're going to talk about what to do when enemies jump into your car. Now, this has always been a thing in Fortnite, so we're going to start again with the good old jump out and shoot them through the window in the face. That always works very well. And now, the thing I want you to remember here is that when you have the wheel of the vehicle, you're actually the one in control of the entire situation. In most vehicles, the enemy cannot jump out the window and shoot you with one of their weapons. Also, they can't take control of the turrets and use them against you on top of your vehicle, whether you have the machine gun or the grenade launcher turret. So now we're just going to run through several different gameplay examples with tips and tricks and things that you can do to use against your enemies, whether you are the passenger of the car or if you are driving, as well as recap all the different tips and tricks we have learned about vehicle combat and using cars in combat so far. So earlier you might remember I said how a lot of players are married to their cars this season. Well, just remember, being on foot is not a death sentence. There are a lot of things you can do. You can still fight back against vehicles. So in this situation here, I literally just let the guy have the car, but I sent him into the storm, and then I used a nitro splash in order to put distance between me and him. He can have the car, because I know that I still have a chance to win the game without it. And now here's another example. This guy jumps into my car, and again he starts trying to use a turret, which you can't hurt the car with the turret that's on the car. So never worry about that. I noticed the car was weak, so I sent it off a jump here, and then just started beaming it and blew it up, damaging the enemy who was trying to jump into the car with me. Now, whether you're fighting against a car or a player again, the Nitro fists are so great for putting space between you and enemy players to get out of sticky situations and just to reposition in general. So always be trying to reposition into areas where it's harder for the car to have an advantage over you, where you have the advantage. And if you really do hate the cars this season, you can also just be griefing the cars you see. So if you're driving past a car and you're in a car with infinite ammo, why not shoot out the windows, shoot out the tires, make that car less desirable, or blow it up completely, just so that other players are less likely to get their hands on one to use against you. Now this example here, there was a bunch of enemies fighting, but here's something cool you can do. I jumped out of the car as soon as I went through the Nitro ring, so I launched the player in that car through the Nitro ring, but I went even farther than I normally would had I just went through the Nitro ring on foot. Kind of cool though. Always making sure that you're using the proper weapons that actually deal good damage against vehicles is also a must. There's no point you shooting a car with a shotgun, as I said earlier. Make sure you're using a weapon that actually is going to deal a decent amount of damage to the vehicle that you're trying to destroy. So now here in this clip here, this guy jumped into my car, and before I take off here, I see that his car was right there with all the weapons on it, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to blow this up, because that is going to make it that he can't get back in that car and then use the weapons on it against me. So now this player in the car with me now has way less options than he did previously. That is one way where I'm taking control of this fight now. And now I am in the wheel, and of course this player is trying to shoot me with the turret, and now here's our good old friend the Nitro ring, and now watch this one. So I jumped out, and I started putting extra damage on my car that I jumped out of, just in case he turns around to come back at me. But now you see another car is coming through the visual audio, and now if you watch the screen here in a minute, you're going to see that I get an assist. So also sending the player who jumps in your car off in a weak car towards other enemies can also be very beneficial and work great. Let the other players take out your enemy for you. That's a win-win. Also take note that in the previous clip, after I sent the player through the ring and then shot the car up, I immediately went underneath the bridge and got to cover. You always want to be trying to keep distance between you and enemy players if they're in vehicles. Now another thing that you can do if you're a passenger is you can hop out the window and start shooting the car that you're in. And now if you're going uphill, you can actually hit the enemy player. And now there are a few cars where you can actually shoot the enemy player just from the passenger seat, such as the Whiplash, which is the basic car, the Scorpion, and the Mazamune. There might be a couple more. And now if you're in a situation where you can't shoot the enemy player from the vehicle you're in, from the passenger side, you can't just simply just keep shooting the vehicle and just act like a psychopath. Who cares if it blows up on you? Just keep shooting the vehicle. Now if you have the Machinist Medallion, you're going to regen up to 75 shield anyway. If you get good at this, you can also jump out right before it's about to blow up, and then usually players just run away from you in fear, because now they don't have the room. And believe it or not, that is actually the best method that I have found to deal a lot of damage to a car and then be able to actually blow it up and get it out of the game. Just damage it until it's about ready to explode, and then jump out and put the last bullet in. Works every time. Remember how I said a lot of players are married to the cars this season, and they especially do not want to give up the mythic vehicle. So they will actually just sit in it and let you just blow it to smithereens. And now if you're in a car with 4 seats, you can also use a variety of seat swapping techniques to try to get the player to swap seats as well, so that then you can jump out of the seat that you were in and then jump back into the driver's seat and take control of the car, like in this example right here. And now there's another situation that you can sometimes find yourself in while playing this season with all the vehicle combat. Sometimes you're going to be shooting an enemy from the turret on your car, and then some other enemy is going to jump in it and start driving it all over the place. So what you can do here in this situation is, if there's other threats in the area, just let him be your driver for a little bit and put damage on the more dangerous threats. But just make sure you do not trust this enemy player driving you around, because they will definitely turn on you at any moment. Like this guy here, he ended up sending me into the storm, but I was ready for it and hit him with a grenade shot just as he was doing it when he jumped out. As well as sending enemy players and cars into the storm, you can also send them off a cliff or send them down to the bottom of the ocean or lake, making that car unusable for the rest of the game. And that will bring us to the end of this video. I'm Big Papa Smurf 187. Thank you for tuning in. Have fun gaming, And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, leave a comment down below if you have any tips and tricks for dealing with vehicle combat this season in Fortnite, and I'll hopefully catch you on the next one. Bye for now.